What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the newest edition of Knicks Latest, your go-to YouTube channel for everything New York Knicks related. Let's get right into it. The Knicks go 2-0 on the weekend with wins over the Houston Rockets and the Chicago Bulls. First, quick recap of the Houston game. I can't figure this team out. This team is one of the most bipolar teams I think I've ever watched in my life. It's like a hot chick that's bipolar, right? It's one of those things that looks good, it looks great, then you get involved, and things are great, and then all of a sudden the lows are the lowest of lows, and you don't know if you want to do it anymore. That's how I look at this New York Knicks team, but then they always do something to bring you back in, and that's what they did against the Houston Rockets on Saturday night, erasing an 18-point fourth-quarter deficit and winning the game. Honestly, off the backs of everybody. Everybody contributed to this one. Jalen Brunson did not have a good first half at all. He was very passive. He ends up having 4 clutch shots in the fourth quarter, including the go-ahead jumper, to put the Knicks in front. OG Anunoby, fantastic defense in the first half. Played a great game in the first half offensively. Jose Alvarado with 5 steals. He played huge fourth quarter minutes for the Knicks. Had 2 huge steals in the fourth quarter, coming around the back, stealing one from Kevin Durant, finishing with a tough layup, and then intercepting a corner pass from Alfred Şengün, which led to another fast break bucket for the New York Knicks. Mikal Bridges had a little bit of the comeback too, put back dunk. Everybody contributed. Landry Shamet was fantastic as well, hitting threes, being intense on the defensive end. It's the New York Knicks team that we love the most, right? It's a team that's aggressive defensively, that's turning you over, that's running off of those turnovers. It's a team that I wish I saw more. After the game against the Detroit Pistons, I did not know how these Knicks would respond. They got off to a quick lead in the first quarter against the Rockets, and then all of a sudden, the Rockets just started laying the hammer on them. I mean, it was embarrassing. It looked like it was going to be another horrible night in Madison Square Garden, and then they were able to flip the script in the fourth quarter, thankfully, because of their defense. Karl-Anthony Towns and Mike Brown both mentioned that Cat challenged the Knicks in the huddle to start the fourth quarter, challenge them to get stopped, saying that it starts defensively, and that's what you want to hear from Karl-Anthony Towns, somebody who's not known for his defensive prowess, but also aware that if the Knicks are going to make a comeback, if they're going to do anything this season, it's going to have to be on the defensive end, and you can say whatever you want about this New York Knicks team, they just don't quit. These guys do not quit. They lose games that maybe they shouldn't lose. Sometimes they seem disinterested, but they don't quit ever. And that's why I still have faith going into the playoffs. It's nights like Saturday night against the Houston Rockets that I think show so much character about this team and makes me so excited for the playoffs and makes me not want to give up on them. You see them get smacked against the Pistons. They're now 0-3 against the Pistons, and you start wondering, well, what's the point, right? Like, if they're just going to meet this team in the playoffs, what's the point? But then you remember last year, how they couldn't beat anybody, including the Boston Celtics, and they go down 20 in game 1, and they come back and win that game, and they go down 20 in game 2, and they come back and win that game. It reminds you what they're capable of, and they showed us again on Saturday night what they're capable of. Now, they go into Chicago on Sunday, and it was a little, underwhelming for the simple fact that they were 11.5-point favorites. You go into Chicago, a team that, you should beat pretty handily, even though you're on a back-to-back. They're also on a back-to-back. This is a team that pretty much drew the white flag at the trade deadline. They traded for a bunch of guards. They have no identity. They don't really have anybody who can carry them to a victory over you. You're way more talented than them. They're trotting out Gershon Yabusele, somebody who's trying to have a revenge game against you, but couldn't even get into your rotation. This should have been an easy W. It was ugly. It was an ugly game, but they pulled it out in the end. Mikal Bridges with the corner 3, the dagger. But I got a shout out for both games for this weekend. My player of the game for the New York Knicks, Karl-Anthony Towns. If the Knicks can get this Karl-Anthony Towns for the playoffs, this can change everything. Karl-Anthony Towns is shaping up to be the biggest X factor in the Eastern Conference, period. You think about all the teams, whether it's the Celtics or the Knicks or the Pistons or the Cavs, and you pick one person who can change their fate of the team just by performing to their potential, aside from the obvious superstars like Jalen and Cade and Jalen, aside from those guys, the answer is Karl-Anthony Towns. The Knicks will go as far as Karl-Anthony Towns takes them. And that's something that Shaq alluded to. I don't know if you saw the post-game interview against the Rockets when the Knicks won, but Shaq and Karl-Anthony Towns got into an interesting discussion. Shaq was trying to allude to Karl-Anthony Towns like he needs to be dominant. He needs to have this aggressive tone every game. He needs to want to dominate. He can't be this nice guy that he is. He has to be the number 2 option. He has to be able to carry this team sometimes. And he did that. The Knicks don't win on Saturday without Karl-Anthony Towns stepping up. and taking over that game. And shout out to Mike Brown and Jalen Brunson. They finally got him the ball in the post. Like, there was a concerted effort in the fourth quarter to get Karl-Anthony Towns the ball, not just at the top of the key, not running dribble handoffs, not trying to be a facilitator, but in the post doing what he does in the fourth quarter. We haven't seen that much this year. The offense running through Karl-Anthony Towns in pivotal moments like this, intentionally, over and over again. This is the cat we need. Now, is this the cat we're going to get for the rest of the season and in the playoffs? It remains to be seen, but make no doubt about it. We all saw this. The Knicks coaching staff saw this. The league saw this. The Knicks know this. This is the type of Karl-Anthony Towns that needs to be involved. The focus was there, and the energy was there. Speaking of energy, I want to introduce you to a product called Mars Men. This is a product that, listen, it is something that boosts your testosterone. It makes you feel better throughout the day. It gives you high energy. I use it because I still like to play pickup basketball at the age of 38. Sometimes I just can't get going. Sometimes I can't get out of bed. Sometimes throughout my day I'm dragging. You work a 9 to 5. You have a commute. You have things to take care of. We are adults now. It's harder to get going. It really is. Like, a lot of people have families. I don't have children. I can't even imagine if you have children, the exhaustion you feel throughout the day, but you still want to be active. You still might want to go to the gym. You still might want to play pickup basketball. Well, Mars Men is the perfect product for you because it gives you that natural boost, that natural energy for you to get going throughout the day. Whatever you want to use that energy for, go for it. Mars Men is the product for you. Now, for a limited time, our listeners get 50% off for life, plus free shipping and 3 free gifts at mengotomars.com. It's a perfect way to kick off the new year strong. That's mengotomars.com for 50% off and 3 free gifts at checkout. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them our show sent you. Knicks Latest. It's Mars Men. Go check it out. All right, before we close the show, just a quick temperature check here. Listen, the Knicks, the Knicks are, to me, it's the Pistons and the Knicks 1 and 2 still in the Eastern Conference here. Realistically, we can't put the Knicks over the Pistons. They lost 3 games to the Pistons by double digits. The Pistons have completely embarrassed them. From here on out, we're chasing the Pistons. The Pistons look like they're going to be the 1 seed, 3-0 against the Knicks. For any Knicks fan or any media analyst to sit here and be like, well, I think the Knicks are better than the Pistons. Can't do that. The way that the Knicks are going to have to do that is show that in the playoffs. So from here on out, when we talk Eastern Conference, we're not putting ourselves at the level of the Pistons. I don't care what you think about this team. I don't care if you think they can go to the finals. I don't care if you think they can win the finals. They don't deserve to be up there. They just don't. Now, when we're talking Celtics and Cavs, sure, let's get into the discussion. To me, the Knicks are still the second best team in the Eastern Conference. Right out, it goes Pistons, then it goes Knicks. And Saturday is a game where you hope kind of, I wouldn't say turns their season around. They won 9 out of 11 games coming out of the break, so it wasn't like they were limping into the All-Star break. They were actually playing pretty well. There was high hopes going into the Detroit Piston game. You get smacked. You get brought back down to earth. But winning these 2 games on the weekend, a back-to-back, one in New York, one on the road, to go on the road and then still win, even though it's against the Chicago Bulls team that you're better than. Still an impressive victory. I still think that if you're doing a temperature check, you still got to like what you're seeing from the Knicks, right? You don't like the loss against the Pistons, but in a vacuum, that win against the Houston Rockets can be huge, right? It can ignite them into bigger and better things. I think you found something, not so much a revelation of, a type of offense you can run with Karl-Anthony Towns, but so much like, maybe he found his confidence. Maybe Mike Brown now has confidence to run different things for Karl-Anthony Towns. Maybe we start looking for Karl-Anthony Towns more because, again, at the end of the day, the Knicks are going to need him. They're going to need Karl-Anthony Towns to win this whole thing. And I think Saturday is a perfect example of a way that the Knicks can run offense that isn't always through Jalen Brunson. Amen Thompson was harassing Jalen Brunson all game, turning him over. They were trapping him in the half court. Times like that, you can get Brunson off the ball, maybe run offense through Cat in the post. Brunson was out to start the fourth quarter when the Knicks started making their comeback. Now, he came back and he finished it, which is exactly what you want to see from the former clutch player of the year. But Karl-Anthony Towns is, to me, just the biggest part here. All right. That's going to do it for today. Subscribe for the show. Got a lot more coming this week. It's a huge week in the NBA in general. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, like the video, drop a comment. I will take your comments. I will use them for future videos. So make sure you tune to Knicks Latest. I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.